Don't forget to pay attention to this to see that it's not sparking. Okay. Good evening, dear women. Good evening, dear viewers. I would like to bless us Bezrat Hashem that Mashiach will be here, but שיגיע משיח צדקנו במהרה בימינו אמן בעזרת השם, שיתגלה המבשר אליהו הנביא, אליהו תשבי, אליהו גלעדי מרם שלכם דוד, אליהו הנביא זכור לטוב בעזרת השם. This week we had a terrible loss because it was Ateret Roshenu, the crown of our head was lost, and it was Rabbi Ovadia Yosef Zchuto Tagen Aleinu, which was a big rabbi of our generations, because he was the one that took the halachot of Maran Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, who was also the teacher and the rabbi of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero that we are studying Tomer Dvorah of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, Zchutam Tagen Aleinu, and he wanted to implement it now in our generation, that all of the children of Israel will be gathered around Shulchan Aruch. Mamash, he made it was a avodat chaim, it's a life work, because he wrote Chazon Ovadia, and in Chazon Ovadia, what I like over there, especially not only when you read Shulchan Aruch, the language, the Hebrew language over there, Sfat HaKodesh, the holy language, is sometimes very difficult to understand, because it's the Lashon of the Gemara, it's the Lashon of the time that they used to speak really the holy language. So Chazon Ovadia and Yalkut Yosef, which is the Kitzur of Chazon Ovadia, that his son wrote, everything is in our Hebrew of today. But more than that, he was the one that did practical things, because all of the technology developed, and there were things that halacha did not give answers, because the rabbis had to give answer because of the development of the technology. For example, there were questions, if we see on a video in the internet, for example, we can see a lesson that is given right now, and we hear blessings. Do we answer amen, or we don't answer amen? So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef Zchuto Tagen Aleinu said, if it's in real time, which means now the lesson is given, we are watching at the same time, we should answer amen. We need to answer amen. But if it's not in real time now, but it was already previously recorded and is only shown now, we are seeing it only now, we shouldn't answer amen. You understand? So these are only, for example, if there are soldiers and it's Sukkot, do they have the mitzvah? They have to sit in a sukkah, or they don't have to sit in it? All of these practical things that happen to us, he gave answers. Mamash, halacha lemaaseh. He gave answers, and this is Zavodat Chaim. This is a work of life. Mamash. And so that's why you saw millions come, mamash, 1 million people coming after his coffin. All of them went after, and not only that, all over the world, people tore. You saw men tearing their shirts, sitting on the ground, and everybody felt the loss. You saw Ashkenazi and Sephardic people gathered together. You could feel the loss. Dear women, God, before everything starts, at the end of times, before it starts, God gathers all of the tzaddikim to Him, so that they won't see the suffering of the generation, dear women. So He gathers them. So now we are just an orphan. Just pay attention. It's like we're an orphan generation. Le'at le'at, little by little, all of the big tzaddikim of our generations, God gathers them. And there's no one to take their place, because it's really the end of times. We are mamash sham. You know, even the signs of rain that looks like blood rain is all already over here. The monsoon rains that were last year, dear women, 40 days, there was rain of blood. So all the signs are all over the world, and everything happens. Dear women, the only thing that can save us, Bezrat Hashem, when Mashiach comes, is only tshuva, only repentance of not only the children of Israel, all humanity, because we are mamash sham. You have to know, Rav Ovadia Yosef, not only that he was the crown of the children of Israel, you could see what is truly Ahavat Israel. I will tell you 2 stories now. One story I got from one of the students over here, and I will give the story over here. But the other one, I would like to give the story now. So it says about an old person that went on a bus, and there was a soldier in the bus. And this old person was with long beard, he was a dayan. And he was sitting next to the soldier, and he started speaking with him divrei Torah, Torah words, Torah lesson. He did with him Adaf Hayomi, the page of the day. He was sitting and explaining to him, and the soldier really enjoyed it. So he told me, he said, so the religious person, the old religious, said to him, I wasn't religious from the beginning. It doesn't come from my home. He says, my parents were Holocaust survivors, Brucha Ba Simcha, were Holocaust survivors, he says, and there wasn't religion in the house. And because they were Holocaust survivors, they had a problem to show me feelings. So he said, I felt neglected, so I went to the streets. Before Bar Mitzvah, I was already like a criminal in the streets. My language was like this. I did not so good things outside. He says, I did whatever I wanted. So there was a synagogue next to our house, he said, and every time on Friday when the people came to daven in the synagogue, we used to play soccer. So he says, every time when we played soccer, we kicked the ball, it went inside the window, and we broke the window of the shul over there. One Friday, the rabbi, after the davening, mamash b'knisat Shabbat, after the davening, he came to us. So when we saw the rabbi, I was the one that I had enough chutzpah to come in front of him and say, Rabbi, did you come to play soccer with us, or you want to do a kiddush with us? So the rabbi asked me, tell me, are you hungry? I said, yes, I am. He said, so maybe I should take you home with me. He said, this old man says, I was thinking about it, and he said, why not? I will go with him and I'll make fun of him in his house. That's what he says to himself. So he walks home with him, he puts him around the table, he sits, and he starts the kiddush. And he's making the kiddush, and he gives him to drink, and then he gives him food, and he was very hungry. So he gave him mana gdola, a big meal he gave him in order to eat, and the rabbi ate a very small portion of the meal. The boy was very tired, so the rabbi asked him, are you tired? He said, yes. He said, you know what, you can sleep over here. Because I forgot to tell you at the beginning, when he asked him, where are your parents? He said, my parents passed away. So he said, you can sleep over here in my house. So he went to sleep. He slept the whole Shabbat. He was keeping Shabbat. The whole Shabbat he slept. When before Shabbat went out, he woke. So when he woke, he heard the Havdalah, and then the rabbi asked him, what do you do now? He said, I go to the movies. I always go to the movies. So he said, tell me, how much does the ticket cost to go to the movie? He says, lira v'chetzi. You see, it's mamash הרבה שנים אחורה. Lira v'chetzi, 1.5 lira. So, okay, it is a very old coin. So the rabbi gave him lira v'chetzi. He said, go. Okay, and he told him, you know what? If you want a warm meal tomorrow, come to me tomorrow too. So day after day, he's coming to the rabbi. He's eating, he's sleeping, and he gets a lira v'chetzi to go to the movies, and he started his Torah with him. A little by little, the rabbi was teaching him. This boy, which was a Ashkenazi, this boy, dear women, became a big dayan. This boy became a dayan. It's not only a rabbi, but a dayan he became. He became a dayan. And the soldier asks him, so who was the rabbi who helped you like this? He said it was Arav Ovadia Yosef Zchuto Tagen Aleinu. He says, and I wasn't the only one. At that time there were 12 children over there with me over there. The house was small, so when the Rabbitson, Margalit, Alea Shalom Zchuto Tagen Aleinu, his wife, when she wanted to breast feeding the children, she used to go under the table with the cloth around it, because there were a lot of men studying Torah with the rabbi. So they won't see her. She used to go under the table that they're studying. This is called Ahavat Israel. This is Ahavat Israel. There's no Sephardic, there's no Ashkenazi. Together we're Am Echad. This is Ahavat Israel. Mamash Ahavat Israel. So it's very mamash meragesh.
My son-in-law's relative.
יישר כוח, זה זכות. And I would like to give you another, what is Or LaGoyim, how the rabbi was also Or LaGoyim. So this I received from one of the students in this lesson, a story that I have to share it with you over here. And the story is about Rav Ovadia Yosef Zchutot Hagen Aleinu. It says like 30 years ago, approximately 30 years ago, there was a word that in Egypt they are going to make a highway. And the highway was supposed to go through a cemetery of Jewish people, a Jewish cemetery. And all the preparations and all, all kol hatochniot and all the plans and everything, they had to take the cemetery out of the Jewish cemetery, and you know what will happen to the bones of the dead people, and to move it to a different place or to move it to Israel. So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef and Rav Deri, both of them went to Egypt to meet the President Hosni Mubarak of Egypt. So he received them, and he says, Rav Ovadia Yosef says that he received them like kings. He behaved to them just like kings. And at the end of they told him that, the cemetery the highway is going to go through the cemetery, and there are very righteous Jewish people over there. There's a chilul shel hakever. It's a disgrace for the dead. It's
desecration.
Yeah, desecration of the dead. So if you can please move it, the route of the highway, so you won't have to touch the Jewish cemetery. And it costs a lot of money to do this. Ze lo pashut, it's not simple. President Hosni Mubarak agreed, and he moved the highway, the path of the highway, so they won't touch the Jewish cemetery. And before they went, he asked to be alone with Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. And when they were alone, he said, Rabbi, I want you to bless me. I believe in your blessing. Ze Ishmael. So Rav Ovadia Yosef says that he took his hands, he put it upon his head, and he blessed him that he will be in his presidency for a long time. And he was truly more than 30 years president. Now, when he told this story, it was around January 2012, at the end of the holidays last year. Then you remember President Hosni Mubarak was in jail. And all the revolution started in Egypt. He was in jail, dear women. So look, and this was after the lecture that I gave you, Time of Redemption. You remember? I gave you this lecture. God gave me the merit to give it to you on November 2011. At the end of November, the revolution of Egypt, which was the first country that had the revolution, was exactly after that, because it was the end of 2011 when God gave me the merit to give the lecture. And then everything, all the things that God gave me to give, mamash korim, one after the other. It started with Egypt, mamash at the beginning of 2012, the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. All of the things, one after the other, mamash mitgelgel, rolling one after the other. So he said, he was blessing him in a shiur. He said that God will give the wisdom to the judges to find him not guilty and to send him back home. And this blessing truly came true. Mamash, he was sent home. זה באמת אמיתי. So I want to show you what is light to the goyim, light to the nations. Mamash, pay attention. This rabbi, Zchutot Hagen Aleinu, was also light to the goyim. If the president of Egypt said that he believes in his blessing, Nashim Mekarot, this is a big darsheni. So these are only two stories about Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. But I will continue and tell you, because there was a question before that, about, Shoshana, ששאלת על פוליטיקה, you asked about politics, and if rabbis should be part of it or not be part of it, part of what happens in the state of Israel. And of course, we cannot stand outside. Nobody can stand, because we are all responsible for each other. Kol Yisrael arabim ze leze. He passed away on Parashat Lech Lecha. This week is Parashat Lech Lecha. And this is a connection, because look, פרשת לך לך starts, I have to tell you, חכי, את חייבת לשמוע את זה, שנייה. אני יודעת שאת צריכה ללכת, אבל זה את חייבת לשמוע. It's written, לך לך מארצך ומולדתך ומבית אביך אל הארץ אשר הרקע. Dear women, the lectures are in TorahAnytime.com, and Racheli started putting down on YouTube the lectures. So if you have a problem, you can watch the lectures. Part of the Parshot HaShavua, the portions of the week, are already in YouTube. So you can watch it also over there. So it's written, you should go from your country, from the place you were born, from the house of your father to the land that I'm going to show you. So dear women, it says, when you say lech lecha, it means you should go from this world, you should go out of this world. When God calls the neshama back to the soul, He says, okay, you came to this world, now I'm calling you back. So תראו, זה ממש לך לך. I'm calling you back from this world, מארצך, this world that we live in now. וממולדתך, from the house of your father and mother where you were born, ומבית אביך, from the father and mother, and from where siblings are, from all of the family, אל הארץ אשר אקחה, to the land, to the world that I am going to show you that you build for yourself in this world. Which means Adam holech לעולמו, a human being goes to his world. Adam holech. When a person passes away, we say Adam holech לעולמו, לעולמו, to the world, to his world that he created for himself in this world. Which means, if we do... בדיוק, זה מה שאני אומרת, תסתכלו פרשת לך לך. If a person did good deeds in this world, and worked on his characteristics, so he won't say bad things to other people, that he will respect other people, that he will find their merit instead of judging them. If he will do this, which means he built himself Gan Eden. So the world that he's going to go, like Ovadia Yosef is Gan Eden. There's Gan Eden in this world and Gan Eden in the next world. So he goes to Gan Mamash, you build to yourself. The Mamash, it's a very symbolic parasha, Mamash, on the week that Ovadia Yosef passed away, dear women. But it's more than that. When God says, Lech lecha me'artzecha, it's also when God calls the soul to come to this world. Mamash, it's parallel to calling the soul from this world and bringing her to this world. So God says, Lech lecha me'artzecha. He says you should go to the soul. Now you should go, he says, from under the throne of Hashem, he says, from the place that you are into this world of action. God tells her. And over here you will do everything that you need to do in order to have the merit to come back under the throne of Hashem. You know, the soul cries 3 times. 3 times the soul cries. It's not the crying that we have in this world. One cry is when it leaves the throne of Hashem and has to come to this world. Remember, I told you the story how the angel takes the sperm and what he does with it. So when it goes from the heaven and comes to this world and it's put in the womb of the mother, dear women, it cries. When it goes out of the womb of the mother, this is the second cry. The third cry when it goes out of this world. 3 cries. Only 3 cries, dear women. And I would like to tell you in this parasha, mamash chidush, dear women. It's a derech Rashi, it's a beautiful chidush. You know who was the first astronaut in the world?
Gagarin.
Who was the first astronaut in the world?
Gagarin.
Dear women, Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was the first astronaut. Why? Dear women.
Astronomer.
זה שיוצא אסטרונאוט.
No, astronomer.
לא. אני מתכוונת אסטרונאוט, אחד שיצא לחלל. עוד פעם, אני לא לתקן אותי, אני יודעת מה... זה... לא, תקשיבו טוב. אסטרונומר נכון, אבל היו הרבה עוד קודם. אני מדברת לא על אסטרונומר, למרות גם ידע אסטרולוגיה. לא, אני לא מדברת על זה. Dear women, עכשיו בלבלתי במילה, astronomer. It says, I wrote it over here, look. ויוצא אותו החוצה. God wants to show Avraham Avinu the blessing of the children of Israel. So he takes him outside from the tent and he says, ויאמר, הבט נא השמיים, look to the sky, he says, וספור הכוכבים, count the stars, אם תוכל לספור, if you can count them, ויאמר לו, כה יהיה זרעך, this is how your this is how your descendants will be, all the generations after you. So, if you look at the sentence, says Rashi about it, dear women, it says, Lefi pshuto, by the pshat, like it's written, it says, Hotzio, God took him outside and let him look at the stars and at the constellations. But not by the pshat, Rashi says, dear women, Hotzio mechalalo shel olam. He put him in space, above the stars. God took Avraham Avinu, put him in space above the stars, והגביו למעלה מן הכוכבים, מעל הכוכבים, וזהו לישון הבטה מלמעלה. And now he tells him count the stars, because if you look from earth to the skies and look at the stars, you can count them. You don't see all the stars. But then when you go out of this atmosphere and you go to space, then you are astonished because there are so many stars you cannot count them. So dear women, he took him and looked, and he was looking above the stars. He was mamash in space. He was looking above the stars, and dear women, and he could see that he cannot count the stars. And he says, this is how your children are going to be. You cannot count them. So this is, I wanted just to give you a gamma chidush. There's a Lech Lecha, you can go and watch Bezrat Hashem on Torah anytime.com or the YouTube Bezrat Hashem, and God bless him. We're going to continue, Ken.
So Avraham Avinu's children are many in the world, but it includes Ishmael as well.
אבל ישמעאל זה לא שזוכה בירושה של אברהם אבינו. ישמעאל got a blessing. הגר, בסדר? This is look, הרמב"ם says Ishmael does not worship other gods. Listen very carefully. ישמעאל לא עובד עבודה זרה. כל טוב נשמה. הרמב"ם אומר Ishmael does not worship another god. Listen very carefully. Why? Because Ishmael himself did tshuva. Ishmael did do tshuva. How did he? He did tshuva, and because of that, but it wasn't a full tshuva. Otherwise, all the Ishmaelim would have been Ken. But he didn't do a full tshuva, but he did do tshuva. How do we know that? We know that because when his father passed away, he gave the merit to Yitzchak to be first, and it's written in the Torah. And Esav didn't give the merit to Yaakov Avinu. He didn't want to give him the merit. So he didn't do tshuva, and his descendants do worship another God. But Ishmael did do tshuva. So you can see it from the beginning. All of the descendants go from the roots. You see, so dear women, en chashdash tachat hashemesh. So there's nothing new under the sun. So it's not astonishing that we went about in space, because already we were in space because of Avraham Avinu. Do you understand when Shlomo King Solomon says, "En chadash tachat hashemesh"? There's not, for example, operations. The first operation was on Adam HaRishon, the first human being. God made an operation. He gave him anesthesia, it's called in English.
Yes.
Ken. He gave him. This is the first. So look, and he made him fall asleep, and he opened him, and he took his rib. Dear women, this is the first surgery. There's nothing new. There's nothing new, and he made a duplicate of Adam HaRishon just in a figure of a woman.
Cloning?
It's cloning, but we do cloning. When they do cloning, it's exactly the same thing and the same sex. God made a different sex. It's not a man, it's a woman. Dear women, everything is from the beginning. Everything. If you look and you study the Torah, the 5 first books of the Torah, you know everything about the world. Everything comes from there. There's nothing new. Everything is in the Mamash, everything is in the Torah, dear women. So now let's continue. So Shoshana asked me a beautiful question. She asked me a beautiful question I have to answer. I thought to answer it at the end, but I'm going to do it now because of Arav Ovadia Yosef. So, and I need the glasses, just a minute. I want to show you how we are responsible for each other. We cannot sit down in a room and just study Torah and and ignore what happens around us. We cannot do that. So I would like to show you what happens on Shabbat. It's written in Masechet Shabbat, page 55, dear women, Amud Aleph. It's written like this. דאמר רבי אחא ברבי חנינא, מעולם לא יצתה מידה טובה מפי הקדוש ברוך הוא וחזר בה לרעה. It says, God never said something good and he went back on his words. Never, except for one occasion. Never. כלומר, הקדוש ברוך הוא לא אמר, אף פעם, לא חזר במדברו. כל מה שיצא מהפה שלו, עשה, קיים. But except for only one thing. And the one thing that happened, dear women, and it's, listen very carefully. חוץ מדבר זה, דכתיב, ויאמר השם אליו, עבור בתוך העיר, this is from יחזקאל the prophet, ויאמר השם אליו, עבור בתוך העיר, בתוך ירושלים, והתווית תו על מצחות האנשים, הנאנחים והנאנקים על כל התועבות הנעשות בתוכה. He says, go into the city, and put a sign on the people that are sitting down and mourning and crying over what the things that happens in Jerusalem. What kind of sign, dear women? So he says again, sorry. So he says like this.
Amen.
אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא לגבריאל, God calls Gabriel the angel, לך ורשום על מצחן של צדיקים, go to the tzadikim, write on the forehead the letter taf, on the forehead the letter taf, but this stuff should be from ink. And why did he do that? שלא ישלטו בה מלאכי חבלה, that the angels, the bad angels will not have any control upon them. And then he says, go to the bad people, למצחם של רשעים, and on the forehead put taf של דם. Write a taf from blood on the forehead, the wicked people, he says. Right, so on the righteous people write a taf from ink, and for the wicked people write a taf from blood, he says. Pay attention. Why? Because I want the angels, the bad angels, dear women, to control them. So comes the attribute of judgment, just judgment. זאת אומרת, מידת הדין התחילה לדבר. Speaking to Hashem, you remember there are 10 ספירות of the Kabbalah. There's mercy, there's judgment. This attribute of judgment starts to speak. אמרה מידת הדין לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, ריבונו של עולם. She says, God, she says, מה נשתנו אלו מאלו? What's the difference between the righteous people and the wicked people? God says, אמר לה, הללו צדיקים גמורים, those are righteous people, totally righteous, he says, והללו רשעים גמורים, and those are wicked people, totally wicked. Those are not benonim, not the middle ones, but these are really righteous ones, and these are really wicked ones. אמרה לפניו, so the attribute of judgment says to him, ריבונו של עולם, God, she says, היה בידם למחות ולא מיחו, it was in their power to protest over the things that the wicked people are doing, and they did not protest. Shoshana Chomat, they had the power to protest and to tell them to do tshuva, and they did not protest, dear women. Amar la, God says, Galui ve'adua lefanai, I know, she'im michu bahem lo yikablu mehem, that even if they protested and came to the wicked people, and they would say, dear women, that this is not the right way to behave, they won't listen to them. God says they won't listen to them. Amralo, listen the attribute of judgment tells God, Ribono shel olam, im lefanecha galui, lahem mi galui. You know that they won't listen to them, but they do not know that, the righteous people. They do not know that they won't listen to them. So, dear women, because of that, first of all, God took the tzaddikim, the righteous people, and then all the wicked people. So they won't see the suffering of the generation. So the Malachi Chabbalah, the bad angels, they came and first of all took the Sanhedrin. All of the righteous people, all of the rabbis, they died first. And then all the other people. So you understand, we cannot be apart and say, well, I will be righteous, I will stay in my home and do everything and I don't care what happens. No, we are not allowed to do that. Kol Yisrael Aravim ze lazeh. We're all responsible for each other.
There have been shurim that I've gone to where we've been told not to tell someone what to do when they're doing something wrong because they're not ready to hear it. And then the sin falls on you because you knew that they weren't ready to hear it. And because of it, we try to bring people closer and they don't want to hear it. So we walk a really fine line between, bringing people back. So here you're telling us you have to tell them. So it's a little bit...
Yeah, I'll explain, yes.
Because I have a very similar situation happen this week with family members who tell me, I don't want to do it, you be religious, I don't want to be religious, don't tell me what to do, I don't want to go to temple, I don't want to do this, I know better than you, or I have
It's okay.
a choice.
It's okay. So you back off. You already gave the word. Back off. Be nice. Be polite. Be pleasant. Listen very carefully. There's a mitzvah. יש מצווה לומר דבר שנשמע. There's a mitzvah to say a thing that will be heard, and there's a mitzvah not to say a thing that won't be heard, dear women. So what do we do? What do we do? Because why it's a mitzvah also not to say a thing that won't be heard? Because it's better that the people, that even if they sinned, they won't do that intentionally. Because if they don't know, it's not intentionally, so their punishment will not be so harsh if it's if you compare it to a situation that they will do that intentionally, dear women. So it's better that it won't be intentionally. But what do? So we do say something, but we do that in a polite, It says about Rabbi Zusha. It's a beautiful story about him. When he saw a person that sinned, he used to stand next to him. And he used to speak to himself like this. He used to say, Zusha, Zusha, he used to say, Oy, 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 what did you do? How could you do this to Hashem? And he had Ruach HaKodesh, so he saw what the person did, and he said, like he did this thing. How could you do that? How could you cause such sorrow to Hashem? And he used to say, oh, what did I do? And to hit himself. And the person that was standing there, he was thinking, really, the rabbi was speaking to himself. And he felt very terrible with this. And then he noticed that he also had part in this sin because he can. And he used to say, Zusha, you should repent to Hashem. You should be good to Hashem that gave you the soul. You should repent now. So, dear women, there are several ways to do it in a nice and polite way, to awaken people without showing, God forbid, arrogance. Because sometimes when you say something, the other side thinks that you're arrogant, that you have pride. So, yes, so you have pride. So you don't do that. You do it with a smile. You say, I was in a Torah lesson, I heard this, and I want to apply it to myself. You don't apply it to that person. You do it in a indirect way, not in a direct way. When you know that the person is ready to hear, it's in a direct way. But if you don't know that it is not, so it's in an indirect way. But if you know that this person won't listen and then will hate you if you say something, pray for him. Only pray for him. Because you remember Yeshayahu the prophet? He was a grandfather of Menashe. And he knew that even though Menashe is judging him, he knew that even if he will explain to him, he won't listen, he won't understand, and then he was his grandchild. He will be punished for all the deeds that he do, like he did it on purpose. So he preferred Yeshayahu the prophet not to say anything. And he said the name of God, a secret name of God, and he was observed in the tree. And you remember Menashe, because he didn't want to tell him, because he knew that if he would tell him, he won't listen. And then because he told him, he will be punished as a person who does it intentionally. So then after he was observed in the tree, Menashe told his servants to take a saw, and they started to cut the tree. And when they came to the mouth of Yeshayahu Hanavi, then he passed away. So, dear women, at kedei kach, he didn't want him to fall in intentionally sinning to Hashem. Look what he did. He was willing to die, not to cause him his grandchild, because he knew that he won't listen to him. So this is 120 years Noach was building the ark. During all this 120 years, dear women, the people around him, he used to tell them, you have to repent, God is going to bring the flood, and everybody is going to die, all humanity and all the animals are going to die, and they did not want to listen. God says at the end, he says, I'm giving you 7 days more. Why 7 days more? Because on that day, at the end of the 120 days, Metushelach passed away. Metushelach was righteous. He was from the family of Noach. So Noach was dealing with burying him, his burial. So he buried him, he was sitting over him, he was crying, and all the people around that were looking 120 years of what he's doing, building the ark, told him, you see, you said that the flood is going to come upon us, but it came upon you. God gave them 7 days more to repent, and the evil inclination did not even let them understand, to see the truth out of the falseness, because of all of the shells they had around them. They couldn't see the truth, dear women. And at those 7 days, God gave them the taste of paradise, Gan Eden mamash, and He changed the sivuv, the rolling of the sun. Instead, you know that the sun goes down b'ma'arav, on the west, and comes up on the east, rises on east. It was up, biduk, exactly the opposite. The sun came from the west, rose from the west, and went down on the east side. Akol afuch. He made things, God, so they can mamash understand that something is going to happen. Like now, look what happens in the world.
Things that are about
Yes, look what happens in the world. Look at all the afichot, all the
in North Dakota.
All the afichot. Look what happens in nature. Look what happens. God gives us a calling. He says, wake up, look. He takes all the tzaddikim back to Him. Wake up. Like He took Metushelach, the same thing. Nothing is new. But we need to wake up. Not only the children of Israel, all humanity needs to wake up. It's a wake-up call. Before everything goes, God forbid, not in the right direction. So, dear women, this is a wake-up call. And how do we know that everything, because all of this generation, the fixing is the mouth. Starts and ends with the mouth. Also the overweight, gaining weight, everything is with the mouth. Why do we have wars? Because of the mouth. Because we don't have humbleness. Because sometimes we have leaders that think that they are conquering the world and staying in the world forever, dear women. So everything starts and ends with the mouth. As I told you, before a person starts the action, it starts with a thought, and then it goes out of the mouth. Once it went out of the mouth, the evarim shel maaseh, the organs of the action, go and do the action. You understand? Why? Because when we say things in our mouth, dear women, the ears hear that. It's like a microphone. All of our organs hear that, and then we are ready to act. Either to do a good thing or to do a bad thing, God forbid. But then we are ready to act. Look, in all the tikshoret.
Communication.
סליחה? Communication. How much slandering there's in the communication. How much gossip. Things that are not nice, instead of listening to good things in the communication. Why? In order to make other people, in the media, if the media would show us all the good things that happen in the world, then everybody would want to imitate it. They would want to do good things also, but we see only the bad ones. And what happens is that all the bad deeds cause another. Avera goreret avera. Sin causes another sin. People see that, and they also, God forbid, do another thing. Instead of eliminating, not giving a bama, a stage for the bad things, but showing the good things, finding the merit of everything, showing, then all the people, it's like teaching a child, it's the same thing, but this is the media goes to all the houses, all over the world. It's like a panel to the world. Now the world is a small place because we can see everything that happens all around the world, dear women. So, dear women, all the signs are here. What we need to do is to repent. We can see it even in the measures of the Ark of Noah. I didn't think of speaking about it, but if we are over here, I'll say something about it. Because the measures of the Ark says that the length of the Ark was 300 amah. And then the width of the Ark was 50 amah. And then the height of the Ark was 30 amah. So if you look 300, 50, and 30, in numerical value, 300 is Shin, 50 is Nun, and 30 is Lamed. Together is a Lashon. You see, it's the mouth, the tongue. Without the tongue you cannot speak. You remember, God says, I closed you over here in order that you cannot go outside and hit people with your tongue. So, dear women, you see Lashon, without the Vav, Vav Avidui. Why is it without the Vav, dear women? Because this is Vav of confession, because it says that Noach did not speak enough to the generation. So because the righteous people, midat adin, the attribute of the judgment, just judgment, said those righteous people, those Sanhedrin, should have spoke to the children of Israel to repent, even because they didn't know that, let's say there are 100 people, maybe even, you know what, even one person will listen. One person will repent, that's good. But they have to listen. You have to protest against bad behavior, against behavior that is not right and not in the way of Hashem. What does God want from us? It says, you know, במשנה תורה, which is חומש, רגע, איפה זה כאן? which is חומש דברים, dear women, it says בפרשת ואתחנן, ואתה ישראל, שמע אל החוקים ואל המשפטים. God says, now the children of Israel, listen to my laws, to my mitzvot, he says. And then again, the same phrase, ואתה ישראל, it's only twice it appears in the Mikra. ואתה ישראל, it appears twice. Once in Parashat Vaetchanan, and the other one, Parashat Ekev. ואתה ישראל. Again, ואתה ישראל. Twice this verse appears. And then it says, ואתה ישראל, מה השם אלוקיך שואל מעמך? כי אם לירא את השם אלוקיך. To fear your God. What does God, now the children of Israel, what does God want from you? To fear God, to go in his ways, and to love God, dear women. So it goes together. The fulfilling of the commandments, you cannot separate it. It's true that in Masechet Sanhedrin it's written, HaKadosh Baruch Hu liba be'ei. God wants a good heart of the person. But you cannot come to a good heart without fulfilling the commandments and without having the fear of Hashem and loving Him. Once you have the fear of Hashem, you love all of the creation of Hashem. All of the creation of God, because you know how to appreciate, because God, in everything that you see around you, there's essence of Hashem. Every human being has the essence of Hashem, of God. Every human being. So you have to appreciate. You cannot put down a person that stands in front of you. He's the child of Hashem. How can you put him down? You understand? So look, dear women. So both of this is the way that we need to behave. It goes together, dear women. It's not separated. If God says you should cover your hair, you should cover your hair. If God says you should go and cover your elbow because this is tzniut, we should cover our elbows. Dear women, everything that God says, this is the truth. This is what we need to do in this world. And then, of course, if we don't have Yirat Hashem, if we don't have the fear of Hashem, there are two kinds of fear. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Zechutot Hagen Alenu, there are two kinds of fear. There's the fear of punishment, that the person is afraid for his soul because he already knows what will happen on the other side when he passes away from this world. So God forbid, he's afraid that he's going to be punished. So this is a lower fear, but it's also a good fear. It's better to fear from the punishment and not to hurt other people. So dear women, and there's another fear, Yirat Hashem, the respect to Hashem, the knowledge that Hashem is looking at us every minute of the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that Hashgacha Alenu, the knowledge that we wake up in the morning with Hashem in us, that we have an IV to God the whole day, the whole life that we live in on this earth, each and every human being in this world. The difference is that the children of Israel are the firstborn of Hashem. They come under the throne of Hashem, their souls. It's a merit to be Jewish. It's a zchut to be Jewish. We need to thank Hashem that we were born like this, because mamash, this means that we are the daughters of a king and the sons of a king. And we should behave like that. In every way, in every part of our essence. Buchar ba neshama. We should behave like this. So we see this is how we should behave, and that's why we see in Masechet Shabbat, dear women, that the righteous people should interact with all the Jewish people. They should be part of the chevra, part of society, dear women. Why? Because there's no tikkun if we are not part of each other. We are responsible for each other. We came from one soul, dear women. So I would like to touch another thing. You remember that last lesson, I will give you a little bit more. Can I do that? I know? Yeah. Okay. Last lesson we spoke about the sentence, Bezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Israel. And this is the Torah that Moshe put in front of the children of Israel. And we spoke about the way God rules the world. The ruling of nature, dear women, and then the ruling that is above nature. The En li Israel mazal, li Israel en mazal. The children of Israel, when they know Hashem, not only speak about it, but truly in their hearts, they know Hashem, they're above the constellation. Me'ala mazal, dear women, above constellation. God meshaded marachot hateva le'am Yisrael, which means God mekofef, how do you say, bends nature to the will of the children of Israel. It can happen now, livriut, emet. It can happen now too. It can happen now that Mashiach will be now here, and Bezrat Hashem, God will have mercy upon us, not with judgment, but with mercy He will come. It depends on us, dear women. So we spoke about the two anagot of Hashem, and also we spoke about how do we repent to Hashem? How do we do tshuva, dear women? By fasting, by praying, and giving tzedakah. And we showed how tzedakah is important. And then we spoke about Zot Torah Asher Sam, dear women, that it can be, the Torah can be the drug of life or the drug of death, dear women. And we explained everything. And then we went to Lifnei Bnei Israel, and I told you over here, this is 170, you remember? 10 times 17, 17 in numerical value is Tov, dear women, and it's also the name of God, of knowledge, dear women. You remember we spoke about it. So I just want to give you a few more things, because this is the heritage that Moshe Rabbeinu gave us, and this is the way, after all of these holidays, we should behave now on until Rosh Hashanah Haba. In order that Be'ezrat Hashem, we will be written not in the middle book, but in the book of totally righteous people, Be'ezrat Hashem. So, dear women, it's written, Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha kilat Yaakov. Moshe commanded us the Torah, and this is the heritage of the community, of the congregation of the children of Yaakov, the children of Yaakov. So, dear women, what is our heritage? What is our heritage, dear women? I would like to give you the heritage. Morasha Kilat Yaakov. So we have an heritage. What did we inherit? Now in Hebrew there's Yerusha and Morasha. We have two words. There's Yerusha and there's Morasha. Okay? Look, when you inherit something, you can do with it Yerusha. I'm talking about in Hebrew, because in English I don't think there's a different definition. It goes on under
Inheritance.
Yes, it goes under inheritance. But in Hebrew there are two words for it. There's Yerusha and there's Morasha. Birthright, יפה, תודה. Okay, so when you inherit something, you can do with it whatever you want. Zot Yerusha. You can do, and you don't have to give any din v'cheshbon, any judgment to anybody. It's yours. You can do whatever you want. But Morasha, dear women, Morasha is a birthright. You cannot give it to anyone. You cannot do with it whatever you want. You have to continue with this to the next generation, and the next generation to the next generation, all the generations after that. So what is the Morasha? Look, we received Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha kilat Yaakov. The first Morasha that we received, dear women, is Torah. Torah. Which means we received the Torah, and this is for all generations until the end of days, dear women. There wouldn't be an existence to this world without the Torah that the Jewish people study, dear women. Bereshit bara Elokim, God created the world only for the sake of the Jewish people that will study the Torah. If the Jewish people will not study the Torah, dear women, all this world goes back to Tov Vavohu. It goes back to the beginning and to... איך אומרים תוהו ובוהו באנגלית?
Chaos.
Chaos, תודה. To chaos, dear women. So you can see the first thing is the birthright of Torah. But in Chumash Shmot there's another thing. In Chumash Shmot it says, just a minute. In Chumash Shmot Parashat Vayera, it's written like this: והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ, it says, I will bring you to the land, אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה, that I took my hand to give it, לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, to אברהם, יצחק and יעקב, ונתתי אותם מורשה, אני השם. two places in all the Mikra that have the word Morasha. One is for the Torah, and the second one is for Eretz Israel, dear women. Eretz Israel, which means those two things, the land of Israel and Torah, forever are for the children of Israel, because this is their birthright by Hashem. That He gave, He owned the world, He owns the world. He gave it to the children of Israel, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. What children? Because Abraham had Ishmael and Yitzchak. Yitzchak had Esav, שזה Edom, and Yaakov. But God says Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, to the children of Yaakov. הנה, תסתכלו, קהילת Yaakov, dear women, which means only the 12 tribes that came out of Yaakov, they are the one that have the birthright over the land of Israel, period. There's no, you cannot have a disagreement, God forbid, with Hashem, because He's the ruler of, He created the world. He's the ruler. He's the King of Kings. And these two, the Torah and Eretz Israel, dear women, this is the birthright of the children of Israel. It says במסכת כתובות, it's better to live in the land of Israel, that most of the people worship other God, than to live outside the land of Israel in a place that most of the people are Jewish people, Orthodox Jewish people. Why? Because he, in Masechet Ketuvot, he who lives in the land of Israel, like Yesh lo Eloka mimal, has a God upon him. Because all the nations, all other places, all countries have an angel upon them. Only the land of Israel has directly the eye of Hashem 24 hours a day, 7 days a week upon the land of Israel. It's under the throne of Hashem. Why do you think all the nations are fighting over the land of Israel?
It is so,
אבל
what
זה
you're
מכעיס
saying
את
right
השם
now is
עבודת
so
ה-
different than what most
מכעיס.
עוד פעם תקשיבי, עוד פעם, תקשיבי טוב. עדיף לחיות בארץ ישראל שרובה עובדי עבודת כוכבים, מאשר לחיות בחוץ לארץ שרובה ישראל.
That's amazing.
בפירוש מסכת כתובות, here, מסכת כתובות, רגע, I need again the glasses. I didn't bring מסכת כתובות, I'll give you, it's page 110, תנו רבנם, לעולם ידור אדם בארץ ישראל. Never, all the time, should a person live, a Jewish person in the land of Israel. אפילו בעיר שרובה עובדי כוכבים. Even in a city that most of them do not worship Hashem. ואל ידור בחו"ל, and will not live outside the land of Israel. אפילו בעיר שרובה ישראל. Even in a city that most of them are Jewish. שכל הדר בארץ ישראל, כל הדר בארץ ישראל, that he who lives in the land of Israel דומה כמי שיש לו אלוקה. Dear women,
את יודעת כמה רבנים אומרים לנו, אם אתם מתחזקים בחוץ לארץ, תישארו שם. את יודעת כמה רבנים אומרים את זה?
I'm telling you again, listen very carefully. Dear women, I would like to tell you again, over the land of Israel, God Himself, His eyes open on the land of Israel, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's written במשנה תורה, בחומש דברים. It's written that God's eye is on the land of Israel. All other countries, God put an angel that is responsible for that country. They're all answering to Hashem. But on the land of Israel, why? Because from there started all the creation of the world. From there, there's Even Ashtiyah, the stone that from there all the world started to be. It's over there. Why do you think all the nations fight over the land of Israel, over Jerusalem? It's under the throne of Hashem. It says in the land of Israel, even the air make you wiser. האוויר של ארץ ישראל מחכים. This is what the Gemara says, dear women. האווירה של ארץ ישראל מחכים. Dear women, so Arizal says, why are we outside of the land of Israel? Because we came over to do a fixing. And to take all the neshamot, all the sparkles, the holy sparkles that are outside the land of Israel, and bring them back to Hashem. So that's why you see people converting to Judaism. Because before Mashiach comes, everybody that has this nitzotz of kedusha, this holy part of him, this holy spark, he will come back to the children of Israel. Because when Mashiach comes, when Messiah is here, there's no gerim yoter. There's no conversion to Judaism anymore. It's finished. When Mashiach comes, you cannot convert anymore. So that's why you see today there are people that are awakening and want to be Jewish, because this is the time that everything is gathered. Before the end of we are inside the end of this, but before everything starts.
Even if they're converting because they want to marry a particular Jewish person?
No, I'm talking about converting truly, mamash, pure. But sometimes it is pure. I don't know. God knows. He knows the heart of a person. We do not know. But God knows the heart of a person. Dear women. So I would like to show you, this is Morasha, dear women. So how do we keep ourselves? How do we study Torah? So it says, במסכת חגיגה, dear women, אינו דומה שונה פרקו 100 פעמים לשונה פרקו 101. It says במסכת חגיגה, in order to study the Torah, it's not the same when a person studies a perek, which means a chapter in the Torah or in the Gemara or Mishnah, anything that is considered as Torah, 100 פעמים, 100 times, than a person who goes through it 101 times. Which means, dear women, he who studies 100 times, 100 פעמים, 100 times, forgets his study by the Samech Mem. The angel of Esav, the Samech Mem, because Samech is 60, Mem is 40, together it's 100. You see? Forgets his study by Samech Mem. But he who studies 101 times remembers his study. Now, tell me truly, what's the difference? Only one? 100 times or 101 times? The difference is, dear women, it means truly that he who remembers Hashem in his studies. Echad. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. He who remembers, dear women, Echad, the name of God. He who remembers, Echad in numerical value is 13. The 13 attributes of Hashem and practices it. Dear women, he who remembers that 13 is all that, so the three forefathers, the number of letters in the names of the three forefathers who protect us. He who remembers the four foremothers that we have, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, dear women. The letters, the number of letters of their names together is 13. He who remembers that 13 is Ahava, is love, to love all creation, all human beings, all the animals, not to be cruel to each other, not to animals, not to plants, not betach, achat kama v'chama, not to human beings, dear women. So he who remembers Echad, he who remembers Hashem, dear women, then he remembers and studies the Torah for the sake of heaven, because Torah Tzivah, the way that Moshe Rabbeinu taught us how to study 101 times, which means for Echad, for the sake of heaven, because Tzaddik is 90 in numerical value, Vav is 6, and He is 5 equals 101. He who studies 101 times, which means for the sake of heaven, has, dear women, the angel Michael protecting him. Why? Because Michael is 101. Mem is 40, Yud is 10, Chaf is 20, Aleph is 1, and Lamed is 30, equals 101, dear women. Has Michael protecting him. Who is Michael? השר, אפוטרופוס, מיכאל כהן גדול, שר והאפוטרופוס של עם ישראל. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu, משה דחה למיכאל עד יהושע. I'll write it over here. It's written, משה דחה למיכאל עד יהושע. Dear women, when Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader of the children of Israel, was the king of the children of Israel, he was the Messiah of the children of Israel. When he was ruling, dear women, Michael couldn't be the high priest and the protector of the children of Israel. Why? Because in the name of Moshe Rabbeinu is the name of Michael. I showed you that Michael is 101. If you take Moshe and you fill in the letters Mem, Shin, and then Hey, and now you take out the name Moshe, okay, the initials, you take them out. So what stays, dear women, is Mem, which is 40, Yud is 10, Nun is 50, Aleph is 1, it equals 101. You see, Michael is inside Moshe. So Moshe, דחה למיכאל עד יהושע. And we know the secrets just by looking at the sentence. How many commandments did Moshe Rabbeinu give us? So Moshe Rabbeinu, it's beautiful. I'm just giving you a touch. Moshe Rabbeinu gave us Torah. What is Torah, dear women? Look, I can write over here. This is Torah. It's written over here. Taf is 400 in numerical value. Vav is 6. Reish is 200. And Hey is 5. How much is it? 611 commandments. How many commandments do we have by the Torah, the Oraita? 6 and 13, nachon? So how many are missing? 2 commandments. Who gave us the 2 commandments? The first 2 commandments was by Hashem that He directly gave the children of Israel. From His mouth they heard it. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am your God. God said this, and all the children of Israel died. At that moment, the soul went out of the body. Then God took the tal banglit, dew. He took the dew, dear women, and put dew of resurrection and put it on the children of Israel, and the soul came back to their body. Then God said the second commandment, and He said, Lo yelech elokim acherim. He says, you won't have another God, a different God, except for me, He says. And all the children of Israel, again, their soul went out of the body. Again, He took the dew of Tchiat HaMetim, of the resurrection, and put it on them, and again the soul went back in. Then they asked Moshe Rabbeinu, we studied about this. He said, they told Moshe Rabbeinu, please, you have to listen to Hashem. You listen to the word of Hashem, and you will tell us. Because otherwise, if we'll pass away now, we are becoming angels. We're not coming back. Because every word of Hashem was sealed in the hearts of the children of Israel. So you will see even a Jewish person that doesn't even know nothing about Judaism is willing to die as a sacrifice for Hashem and not become Christian or Muslim because he believes in it. And you will say, but he doesn't know nothing about Judaism. But it's inside, it's sealed inside his heart. So the first 2, it's engraved. Dear women, so it's engraved in his heart, dear women. So you can see, dear women, that mamash, we can see how many commandments did Moshe Rabbeinu give us? 611. He heard it from Hashem, He gave it to us. It's beautiful. How do we make the judgment? How do we soften judgment and we make it, and so it will become mercy? Because we see lanu, Torah tziva lanu. Okay? Let's take the word lanu. I'm just giving you a touch of the things, dear women. Look, lanu, let's take the word lanu. Lamed, dear women, is 30. Nun is 50. And Vav is 6. Together it's 86. It's Elokim. Elokim in numerical value is 86. So if we study for the sake of heaven, the Torah, we cause the name of God of judgment to become merciful. Bereshit bara Elokim, it becomes mercy, dear women. This is how we soften judgments. How do we know that the Torah includes the oral Torah? Because if I look over here, Vezot Torah asher sam Moshe, asher in numerical value, that this is the Torah that Moshe put in front of us. I'll take the word, I can wipe the board here, nachon? I'll take the word asher, okay? Tistaklu, asher, shin is 300, reish is 200, aleph is 1, together it's 501. Okay, look at it, you see? So this is 501, and look at asher, dear women. Can I wipe more the board? Asher comes for the word Israel. Israel. You see the word asher? You see it over here? Look over here. Tistaklu. So it goes like this. Israel, we have Shin Reish Aleph. This is Asher. And this is Rosh. We change the letters. The children of Israel are going to be Rosh, the head of the nations. This is what's going to happen when Mashiach is here. The head of and the children of Israel are engaged to God. Because when Mashiach comes, we'll be married. How do we know that? Kize Ires. You see? Irusim, Ires. You see it over here? This Ires in Hebrew is Irusim, the same letters. And with what word God me'ares otanu? With the word li. Li areat mekudeshet li betabad zu. This is the Irusim. It's beautiful. This is only a touch. I won't go into more than this now. I would like to bless all of us in the merit of הרב עובדיה יוסף זכותו תגן עלינו. שיגיע משיח צאתנו במהרה בימינו אמן. בעזרת השם, ונזכה בעזרת השם, שיגיע אליהו נביא זכור לטוב, לעולם ייפרד אדם מחברו בדבר הלכה יחיד ברבים הלכה כרבים. Remember next week is the הילולה of רחל אמנו. We'll meet here on Monday at 8 o'clock בעזרת השם.